welcome to another episode of Wagging Success. With us, as always, is Philip van Heerden. Hi, Philip.
Hello, Tertia. I hope you're keeping well.
We won't complain. It's the holidays. It's nearly Christmas, and that means the year is on its back. We're looking forward to some downtime, and that takes us right into today's topic: Christmas gifts and dogs.
Every year we talk about this, and it continues to happen.
It's always going to happen, and that's why we said we have to talk about this
Yeah.
today. It's going to happen, so we want to help people make the right choices. If they
We have
decide
to,
to give somebody a puppy for Christmas,
yeah, we have to bring awareness around this whole thing of animals as gifts for
mm,
kids, especially. It's not on. And then where do these gifts come from? Do I go to the pet shop and go and buy a puppy that's sitting there looking at me, not knowing any history of the parents, not knowing where it comes from? Um, do I go to a breeder or do I go to a registered breeder? And then even a registered breeder. As we discussed earlier, there's often a lot of red flags and you must be aware of them. And then I want to bring in one more thing here. Please, people, scams, puppy scams. I have so many, I don't want to call them clients, people I know rather, that have been scammed uh, and they pay for these animals online. They haven't seen them, they know nothing about them. It just looks cute and everything on the internet looks so good and the photos look so good. So I pay and I see the latest is you pay for the dog and then you got to pay suddenly later extra 15,000 rand for a crate and then this and then that. And at the end of that day, they scammed you out of a lot of money. So me, I'm the sticky one. I have a belief. When you have a document with instructions on it, it's a document with four corners. And you work within the four corners of that document. You do not go out beyond it and go and do your own damn thing, okay? It's going to be problems. So, what are the rules? Firstly, we go back to the question, why do I want to get a puppy or why do I want to get my child a puppy? Is my child going to be able to cope with this? Is my child going to learn something with this, or is it going to become a gimmick? And after a while, I've got to look after it. And after that, it becomes a backyard dog that has no life because nobody has the time. It was cute when it was nice. Suddenly, it's a lot bigger. I can't control it. It becomes aggressive and. So you've always first got to define why you want a dog and who you want to get the dog for. And does this person have the ability, the knowledge to work with this dog, to teach this dog? Do we as a family have time, the time to put aside to learn? Because remember, the human's got to learn first and then the dog. Do we have the time to put aside for this? And I always take this whole concept um, in the interest of the animal, not the
yes.
human. Bottom
Mhm.
line is not the human, it's the animal. And what is going to happen with that animal? I have, as a matter of interest, on the wind turbine projects, I have turned down massive projects with dogs, um, purely because nobody can tell me after the completion of the project, be it 3, 4, 5 years, what is going to happen to those dogs. So you've got to define why you want to get a dog, who for, and then you've got to go into the other factors. Can I afford it? Will I be able to afford the medical bills? Uh, can I afford the time to teach, to work with this dog? And can I afford the time, me, myself, to go and learn, to do the right thing? If I've got all those answers, then I must be able to visit registered breeders and see the animal and also see what breed will fit in with my family. I can't have a family with young kids up and now I go and get a burbu whose unpredictability is 95% and stick it in amongst my family. So you've got to find the correct dog for the family. The family, is it a relaxed family? Is it a very active family? Et cetera. And this dog's got to, the breed has got to fit in with us. Okay, not us with the breed.
So
Then,
this is that whole conversation where somebody says, I'm a couch potato right now, but in the new year I want to start exercising, so I'll get a dog to to get me outside. In 99% of the cases, it doesn't work out that way. The dog
it
gets trapped
fails.
outside with you. The
Yeah,
right way to do it is start running first. And once you start running and you get tired of running alone, then you get a dog that can run with you. Then you have a chance of success. But don't get the dog in the hopes that the dog will change you or your habits.
yeah. But now we go to the breeder. Um, it's very easy to find a breeder and just go there. No, find a couple of breeders, get as many references as you possibly can surrounding those breeders. Other people who have gotten dogs from those breeders. What are the parents like? Do we have an aggressive strain within that? Do we have a relaxed strain? Um, what has been going on there? But find out, do your homework 100%. And then medical issues. We've had two Alsatians put down at 6 months old who come from a CUSA registered breeder. And these animals had at that age hip dysplasia so bad that they had to be put down. And the tragedy is that the breeder refused to compensate the people, pay their money back or give them other dogs. Blankly refused, ignored. And this was reported to CUSA, and they ignored it as well. There was nothing done from their side. So this so-called registered breeder is still continuing to breed and sell dogs at a very expensive price. So take your document, do your homework step by step.
It's
Make
very
sure.
It's very important to remember that a good breeder will be exceptionally proud of their puppies. They will not
Yes.
hesitate to give you references and to talk to people who has their puppies because they love their dogs. They love what they put into that dogs. They would never hide something like that. Instead,
No.
they would relish the opportunity for you to actually contact those people and find out more about their dogs.
And visit. And visit. They'll be so happy to have you visit and meet all the puppies and the dogs and meet the parents. If they don't want you to meet the parents, red flag, as Tisha said earlier. It's a red flag. Okay. You must be able to go and visit them. You must be able to spend time with them, socialize with the dogs and different breeds. Get your different breeds. Get your different areas. Um, I'm one is very fond of saying to people, if you need to get a dog and you don't want to go through the puppy phase with it and everything, look at rescues in that specific breed. We have many rescue organizations. Nothing wrong with the dogs. Beautiful, 6 months old, a year old, and they've just been abandoned. Um, and these institutions rescue them by breed. So if it's a Malinois, it will be a Malinois Rescue South Africa, and you'll find amazing dogs there. But again, there are rules to go through. There must be an assessment of the dog. Um, there must be a lot of things done. You don't just go in and take it because it looked at me with those sad little eyes.
Yes.
We hear this thing about the dog picked me, I never picked it. Or the dog chose me, I never chose it. No, don't fall for that one. Um, so make sure of the breeder. And something that's very important is make sure that the inoculations are done by a vet, not by the
Yes.
breeder. We've had an instance here where the breeder did the first two inoculations, and the second one he gave too early, which nullified the first one. And the dog died. It was out for about 3 weeks. Puppy, beautiful Malinois puppy, and it died. And obviously, the owners were very upset. And when the investigation started, this is what came out. So make sure the vets do it. It's done properly at the right times. Um, and if you do your homework and you do the whole thing correctly, you're going to end up with the right dog. You're going to end up with a dog that's got the right temperament. It's going to fit in with the family, and it's going to be an absolute fun dog to have and teach.
Yes, you're going to have an asset in your family for the next 15 years if you're lucky.
Yeah. You know, if you're on a farm and there are, unfortunately, in South Africa, we do have the problems we have. Um, you can get more than one type of breed, but I must mention this. I was called to a meeting in an area where there had been a lot of instances where the farms had been invaded by 4 or 5 individuals at a time, and the houses robbed and so on. And the one woman said to me, "But I've got 5 dogs. And when the first shot went off, all my dogs ran away." The other one had 2 Ridgebacks. They were lying on the couch on the veranda. And these guys walked right past the dogs did nothing. So my reply was, if nobody taught me to write, I'm never going to be able to write. So if your dog hasn't been taught to react and to work and not to have a fear of things, then it's an asset to you, to your family. And, you know, you can have a bigger dog and a smaller dog. The small one's the alarm and sets off the big one. So your dog must be house specific. And we go back to, why do I want a dog? And if I want the dog to lie on the couch with me, I get a basset, he'll eat chips with me and do nothing. If I'm on a farm and I need dogs for family protection, I go to a good breeder. I make sure I've got the correct working dog that has the ability to protect me, and I teach it. Don't send it away to be taught and then come back to you. It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You must be part of that teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, so people don't, on the spur of the moment, decide I'm going to buy a little nice puppy for my kids. No, do your homework, do the thing properly. It's a process which can take 2 months, but go through it and do it properly, because then you're going to end up with the right dog and a lot less problems.
So I want to highlight 2 things here. The first thing is Philip mentioned a lot of large breeds during this conversation, and I suspect that's because he mostly works with them. Up here in the city, we have smaller yards, we often have flats, and we have kids, and then people get Yorkies or other small breeds for their dogs, thinking it's so much easier. Those ones are our money makers because we work with them so often because they get such bad behavioral issues. They get so frustrated. It ends up being a terrible life for that dog because even your
Mm,
smaller dogs have needs, breed specific needs, and needs as a dog and as an animal that needs fulfillment. So remember, just because it's a lap dog, all of the things Philip says still applies to a toy poodle, to a Yorkie, or a beagle or whatever. Breed specific needs are a thing. The last thing that we have to mention is, of course, Philip mentioned the document now and staying within the four corners of that document. But there's another very important thing with breeders, and that is an actual contract. A good breeder
Oh,
will
yeah.
give you an actual contract with terms and conditions for adopting their dog. And very importantly, a good breeder will often include a clause in that contract which states that if you no longer want the dog, you have to return it to them um,
Yes.
for the rest of that
And
dog's life.
make sure that there's a clause in there that says that if this dog becomes medically unfit or whatever the case may be, and it is a breed specific problem, that this dog must be returned and either the purchaser be refunded or the dog be replaced if the purchaser so wishes. So make sure your documents are accurate.
Yeah, because if you're 1 year down the line and you have invested a lot of training and time into this dog, say you have a German Shepherd and you've trained him in family protection, or you have a beautiful Border Collie and you've trained him in flyball, those types of training are expensive in terms of money as well as time invested. If that dog then after a year cannot live any longer or they cannot fulfill that role, you have to be compensated for the
Yeah,
investment that you made, at
yeah,
least for the investment that you made to procure the dog.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but you know, what it boils down to again is, and I'm sorry to say this, um, dog training facilities don't give you this information.
Yes.
I do not know of any that do it. So never be afraid to come to us and say, listen, this is this is what we want to do. We want to buy a dog. We want to get a dog for a certain purpose. Can you just advise us on it? People, we are not going to send you an account to give you some advice. Um, you know, we can do a online session and just quickly discuss
What your needs
the
are versus
thing.
what the
Yeah,
best breed
what?
is.
But go that route. Make the effort. Don't just say I've got a holiday bonus and here comes a dog for my family. No, don't do that. It's because again, at the bottom, the bottom line is the dog suffers.
Yes.
It's the dog that suffers at the end. It ends up at the SPCA or because it's structurally unbalanced, everything, it ends up getting euthanized because it's bitten somebody. Um, and it's not the dog's fault, it's the human's fault. And it's because from square one, the right steps weren't taken.
So we're not saying don't buy a puppy for somebody this Christmas. What we definitely are saying is that if you want to buy a puppy for somebody this Christmas, do it right. Find the right puppy, do all of your homework, stay within the four corners of your document, and then you will have a happy, healthy, long, beautiful life and family with that dog. Enjoy.
Absolutely. Enjoy it and don't hesitate to make contact. Please, anybody's welcome anytime. So
And if,
if you like this, like and subscribe.
of course, then you
Okay.
can keep learning about all things dogs. If you do get a dog this Christmas, then especially like and subscribe so you can keep getting tips about your dog. Thanks, Philip.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Tisha. Be safe and we'll chat soon.
Bye.